Hello, world, and welcome to another casual chat with a musician. I have Amelia Hartman here. She is a fellow Substacker, and it's going to be really a fun, casual chat like the last ones, talking to, I would consider Amelia a multi hyphenate, a musician, a singer in her past. She's rekindling singing and dancing now. She's also been a screenwriter. She's done plays. She's done independent films. It's going to be really interesting to get the perspective, especially for me as a classical pianist, particularly from a singer, because I don't know how that works, how you even get the courage to like use something so intrinsic to your body as the instrument. That's terrifying for me to think about. So, before we get into questions, welcome, Amelia. Would you like to maybe do your own mini introduction to somebody
Sure.
who's never seen you?
Of course. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Please call me Amelia. Um, I am a student of the Alexander technique, which is the study of using your entire body to sing. So I study with Catherine Armoire, and she has about seven singers on Broadway currently right now in New York. I am not one of them yet, and she is phenomenal. She really taught me how to align my soul with the instrument I carry, which happens to be my body as a singer. So I have a little bit of experience in pretty much everything. Throughout college, I did independent film. I have always been a writer since I was about 11, and I've always been a singer since 11. And I cannot emphasize enough that my it's the core of my person. So it's really my soul. And the truth is, you're right. It's terrifying. It's terrifying every time you open your mouth.
I can't even imagine. We're gonna get
It
into
is.
it, but I just can't imagine. So, and it sounds like you started from an early age. If I remember correctly, you started about 10, 11,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's with singing specifically, right?
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind, like, maybe give us a little, like, summary, and explore, like, your journey starting music and, here decades later, it's kind of blossomed into, many arts, it seems, which I think, like, Broadway and stage stuff requires you to be a
Yes.
multi-hyphenate, because 'cause you're moving your body, you're having stage presence, you're creating some sound for you at singing.
Yes.
Um, yeah, if you don't mind, like, how did you start out with music? Where'd the love come from, and how has it evolved over time?
Yeah. So it started out as I think most singers start out. I was singing in my bedroom
Mhm.
as a little girl. And I think it was the national anthem that inspired me. And I realize that we're in a very strange time right now politically. But at that time, as a young girl, my mom heard my voice and she said, "We have to cultivate this." I never could have gotten this far without the love and support of my family.
Mm.
But yes, I think a piece like that is so memorable and so powerful that I understood something intrinsic about myself, even when I didn't completely have words for it. And I immediately started auditioning for plays, getting involved with my high school and middle school, and played various roles and things like that, character parts. I pretty much just tried everything, and I think that's so crucial
Mm.
because if you don't find out what you love.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I even love metal and pop and rock. The truth is my voice is best for classical.
Yeah. Well, and so it sounds like also it's evolved into more operatic singing.
Yes.
So how did that piece come in? Because I can understand, like you have a song that speaks to you, the
Yes.
national anthem in this case when you're younger, and then
Mhm.
it blossoms into more stuff. But how do you go from high school and college age of doing stage,
Mhm.
I think you said Grease and a few others,
Yeah.
right?
Grease, Bye Bye Birdie, Chicago was the love of my life.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So how do you go from that into classical opera? Like, how where'd that path start?
So, I'm a romantic, and the truth is that I was blessed to be surrounded by people that while I grew up very, very, very poor, I think is the place way to say it. However, I am wealthy in experience and wealthy in love and support. And I had a classmate that her mother is now my instructor, my voice instructor. She introduced me to Mozart's Marriage of Figaro, and the first operatic piece I ever learned was Voi che sapete, and it was so crucial because it spoke to my soul, and it's basically a story of a young, young man confessing his love and all the thrill of love to the audience. And I guess secretly, I've never quite grown out of that angst, but that was really where I
Yeah,
got to start was you have to find something that speaks to you
sure.
intimately,
Yeah.
and then it just takes you places.
I love that, and I wanna speak too because, it this is not a typical, especially in today's world, like, I think
Mhm.
classical is exclusionary. I think it is very intimidating,
It can be.
and I think lastly, it's inherently, a privileged craft to
Yeah.
learn because it does require support. It
Yeah.
requires the instrument. In your case, it required, like, a teacher to bring that part
Mhm.
out. Like, I can't even imagine, I'm a pianist, so I'm
Yeah.
used to being nervous before the stage,
Yep.
having stage fright, getting on whatever the instrument is that's there,
Mhm.
and just doing my best and just
Yeah.
trying to get through the performance. But at least I have a layer of separation where I don't feel like it's coming from my chest.
Yes. Well,
And it,
oh,
it
go ahead.
it's fascinating, like, to hear you not only explore all these different genres, but then go into basically the most body involved
Yeah.
singing possible, and can you just tell us what it feels like to
Yeah.
sing in that way? And then alone, but then I also wanna hear, like, what is it like to do that in front of people?
It's terrifying. It's terrifying because what people don't understand about singing is when sound hits the air, physics takes hold. I mean, scientifically, you have no control over where your voice is going. So every single time you open your mouth, you have to lift your palate, you have to engage your spine. And say, for example, if your pelvis and your feet are not grounded properly, you lose the stability of your voice, and then you're
Wow.
coordinating breath, and then you're coordinating enunciation. For example, beautiful singers such as Mariah Carey or Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande has horrible pronunciation,
Right.
breathtaking range, breathtaking voice. At the end of the day, and of course she's grown since her
Y
sick.
yeah,
No offense to her,
yeah,
but you're coordinating all of these things, and on top of it, baring your soul to the universe.
yeah, and in
And
your case too, the element of dramatic opera where
yes,
really you're embodying a character.
yes,
So it's almost it's like a solo play,
yes.
and, like,
There's a
you're everything. I mean, of course, you likely have something behind you musically to
Sure.
support the singer, but you're the face of the whole
Yes.
music, and, like, I'm nervous thinking about it.
It's
So,
terrifying.
okay, here's a follow-up question to that.
Sure.
For me, I get a little bit, I wouldn't say I get shaky, but I would say there's a stiffness and, like, a coldness
Mhm.
that I have to warm up, literally,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so my ritual prior to performing is, like, go to the bathroom,
Yes.
hopefully the hot water's working, sit there doing this a little bit,
Yeah,
looking in the mirror and just saying, like, "You can do this." Like, just share what you can. Like,
yeah.
just try to be authentic and just share the music that you can. What are the jitters for a singer for
Oh
you,
gosh.
and how do
Well
you overcome that?
well, I think every single person has their own jitters. Me personally, I don't know if this is a type of quirk in my personality, but I always breathe and I always reapply my lipstick. For me,
Oh,
lipstick is everything.
I love that, I
Yeah.
love that. So you always have a lipstick with you if you're
Yes.
about to sing?
Yes, yes. I would go on stage naked before I'd go without lipstick, period.
Oh my gosh.
That's all there
And
is to
and is
it.
there any mental prep or,
Yeah.
like, a mantra or, like, what's the thing that gets you to ready?
I always say to myself that I am worthy and that my beauty is intrinsic and no one can take what I have from me. That's what I always say because when you open your soul in that way, you're open to critique, you're open
Mm,
to questioning, you're open to criticism. I always go in the same way as you do with allow me to show my most authentic self. And then basically my family and my ancestors, guide and protect me through that. And the truth is, most people like to be spectators, and most of the time, they're just happy to experience something that they don't understand. So,
mm,
majority of the time, audience is very kind and even forgiving. And between you and me, most people have no idea you messed up, even when you do make a mistake, because
yeah,
they're not knowing what to expect. That generally speaking, they're very receptive. But I do the same ritual that you do. I actually run hot water over my hands. I always
oh,
stretch.
really? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
always run hot water over my hands. I think it's the act of cleansing or the act of
Yeah.
breathing and getting your muscles ready.
It
Always,
it's it's like a sensory shock
it
to
is.
it for as somebody with anxiety, and who's
Yeah,
had, like, anxiety attacks,
absolutely.
especially because of stage fright,
Yeah.
um, I think one very valuable thing that I have brought into, like, this music heals message that I
Mhm.
bring is, like, have a wellness toolbox.
Yes.
Like, your tool is your lipstick.
Yes.
Right? My tool is, like, maybe, a stress ball, and
Mhm.
maybe it's not a physical thing, maybe it's the mental thing of, you mentioned, like, ancestors and
Yeah.
family is with you. I do the same, like, I forgot until you mention it, but I'll be like, "David, you can do this.
Yeah.
You've done hard things."
Yes.
And, like, my granddad is there with me. My other
Yeah.
granddad is there with me, who people who or ancestors who you didn't meet, who would respect your craft.
Yes.
Like, it's so valuable, I feel like, to honor that and almost be like, "I invite you to be
Yes.
with me on stage so that I don't feel like I'm alone, being
Exactly.
seen alone."
Exactly.
So, okay, so I'd love to ask too, okay, so you evolved from singing stuff we know, stuff everybody
Mhm.
knows and is inspired by, into doing stage work
Mhm.
involving your body,
Yes.
then evolving into opera. So how did I know that you said that this first I think it was a Mozart piece, and
Yes.
I'm unfamiliar with a lot of opera.
Mhm.
I love that feeling of being in the, like, "What am I listening to?" Like, exploration. So, from your perspective, what's that been like? Like, what's the work you gravitate towards, classically or operatically? And, like, what's your decision-making process for this is something I'm gonna record or perform.
Sure.
Um, just what's your thinking about it from for you and if you're thinking about the audience?
Of course. So I like to generally gravitate toward things that have not been seen very often or very recently, mainly because that gives me a breather between not genre, between generations to reinvent or
Mm,
add my spin to whatever it is. For example, Thy Hand Belinda is probably the cornerstone of my arias. And it's the reason I love it is because it is this character expressing that she did everything she could. She cannot possibly live without her love. And that's it. She just drank poison and she's dying. And that's it. And she basically is saying, I need you to hear my heart one last time. I personally, in my soul, I always live on that edge of,
mm.
I need you to hear my heart. I am dying. Because the reality is, I'm dying every second.
Yeah, yeah.
And so is
It's
everyone
morbid.
else.
It's morbid, but it's
But it's
almost like
real.
the memento mori,
Yes. Ac-
concept of, you know, classically, there's this concept called memento mori for any
yes.
listener, where it's the artist acknowledges their mortality,
Yes.
and, but it's not meant to be morbid. It's
Yes.
truly, I mean, in visual arts, it's still lifes of skulls with
Yes.
something, but it's really not supposed to be morbid. It's supposed to be just an acknowledgement and really a celebration then and of the
Exactly.
beauty of life. Um, so, okay, so it sounds like not just this is interesting because we have a different approach then. So you actually look for something, of course, that you're gonna connect with, but more so also that it's gonna be unfamiliar to the listener.
Yes.
To is that to kind of force them into the exploration or like,
Yes.
what's your mindset for choosing something unfamiliar?
I like something that's provocative because even if, say, for example, I don't do as well as I'm anticipating. And by the way, for anyone that isn't a performer, we walk away always dissatisfied. You, the audience, walk away having seen something magnificent beyond your wildest concept. We walk away and we're like, that was flat. Like we walk away, picking apart little bones and nooks and crannies, and I didn't
Yeah,
breathe the right way.
yeah,
Um, but, I always look for something provocative because if, God forbid, say my voice wasn't the best amongst whoever's around me, right? A
yeah.
lot of times we showcase in pairs or in groups. At least they have walked away with something that haunts them. I personally am a very big personality, and I am a woman that people rarely forget. And once again, it's about speaking to your soul. Now, this might be the phase I'm in now. As I grow older or go through different stages, I went through a stage where I did only um, romantic, fun pieces, such as Guys and Dolls and Bye Bye Birdie. I mean, you go through these waves.
Sure.
However, my core is what I always go back to, the same way you do.
Yeah.
Like, say, for example, if you love Bach, there are some core things that you always return to because they are the embodiment of who you are. They are your soul's representation.
I love that description. And, like,
Thank
there's a lot to pick apart from that. First off,
Sure.
I love the idea of really your goal is to make an impact emotionally
Yes.
and to haunt. Like, I
Yeah.
love that term.
Oh,
You
of
know I
course.
love that term. We won't get into why, but I do. And I love the idea of this isn't perfect. I am not the best, but I am going to connect with a story,
Yes.
whether you know explicitly what the character of that opera is about or not, because obviously the people aren't understanding the language for the most part.
Sure. A lot of time.
Especially not me. Even if it were in English, I'm not a lyrics person, so I am
Yes.
soaking up the vibe. And yeah, to be left with thinking about it,
Mhm.
that's the goal.
Yeah.
The second thing I loved what you said is like, um, that truly a performer is never satisfied leaving the
Never.
stage. There's only been for me I agree with that sentiment, like, I can remember so many bombs. I remember so many bombs,
Yep.
and I also remember after every single one of those things, I don't think I ever had a complaint.
That's
I never
incredible.
had somebody come up and say well, okay, a couple
Sure,
times. I've had
sure,
some,
sure.
outspoken, unprovoked
The
critiquers.
rendition is how they phrase it.
Yes. Well, my favorite story I like to say is I so okay, so your approach is to go with the unfamiliar and to haunt, and I love
Yes,
that, by the way.
thank
Um,
you.
I typically do the opposite, where I will include that at the end,
Mhm.
and I try to get them to be like, "Okay, I am familiar with the national anthem."
Yes.
Then the next one is maybe a little farther removed, and then the
Thank
last one is something you've never heard, right?
yes.
For piano, it feels a little more capable to be bored, because you're really just watching somebody sit there, you know?
I know what you mean.
Um, as an audience member to a singer, I would be so enthralled, like, from just the idea of, like, this person is risking it all, and I am concerned, so I would be more invested, and so I like your approach.
Thank you.
Um, okay, before we get into questions from this box,
Mhm.
what's like but before we get into that, and I'm gonna share links below of everything we're about to talk about, people. So if you're
Great.
rewatching, Amelia Hartman here is found on Substack, but she's working on a lot of fun stuff, and I want you to kinda, tease to us maybe what's a couple exciting things you're working on,
Sure.
and I'll link below, but share with us some music, some dance, anything you want.
Sure. So currently, right now, I am training and getting prepared for competition season for next year for ballroom dancing. And currently, right now, I'm looking for a ballroom dance partner, like a consistent one, someone that I can grow with. As far as music, I'm returning to opera. I'm healing right now. I had a incident this past winter, and I'm healing from like a minor incident with my lungs and chest.
Mhm.
So it's getting better. But I'm returning to, let's see, Caro Mia Ben, and then Mia Babino, and a few other Italian arias. I'm taking on pieces with more meat that are really for women, more so
Mhm.
than I'm not at the phase of young and in love, and I don't know where stuff is. I'm more in the um, I'm more in the my heart has been expanded. My heart is it knows what it wants. So I'm taking on heavier pieces. As far as writing, I'm very excited that I just launched Lovely's Lair, which is going to be all the collection of savage works that I've been working on. A few series. One is Living Lovely, which is more of a romantic satire. And then I have Bejeweled, which is honestly the love of my life. It's more of a series based around two warring clans. And uh, the king basically abducts this savage queen and he's trying to enculturate her into his clan and
Ooh.
see how that works.
I love it. I love it too, 'cause by the way, this is so perfect because you were describing, like, your soul gravitates
Mhm.
towards these, like, very, well, haunting
Yes,
stories, so I love that. I love that, and by
thank
the
you.
way,
Of
like, you brought up other stuff that I wanna talk about, so we're not gonna get to this
course.
box. Um so, okay, one question before I forget it is, you mentioned that you're recovering from, a lung
Yeah,
injury or of some sort, and, for the piano, I have my own form of physical upkeep, and even that often is not enough to beat especially if you have chronic illness,
Yeah.
I have chronic illness, like, stuff just catches up to you, you know? So, I
Mhm.
would love to know, like, w what's your process for maintaining physicality,
Mhm.
particularly considering tension and nerves? You know, we described getting on stage, it's your full body, it's
Mhm.
way more than what I need to consider. You know, you were even talking about like feet needing to be grounded the right way. So, yeah, what's your process for maintenance
Sure.
physically just to get your creativity out?
I think the most crucial thing is that we forget in our culture that the human body is meant to move. So I personally go for walks and I go outside as much as I can. This winter has been abysmal.
Yeah.
Been bad snow here in the Delaware region, the whole Northeast. But always in movement. I stand when I write. I have a standing desk. I was blessed to have a mother that's a nutritionist. So
Mm,
I take food very seriously because I have to maintain and feed this machine, this
yeah.
instrument. And then also from a mental standpoint, I read other people's work. I listen to other people's music. I do a little bit of everything to always keep me inspired. And I think we get
Mhm.
stale when we don't test our imagination and we don't continue to learn. And that could be reading from anything. You guys would think I was a mad woman when I'm studying to do a new piece. Sometimes I'll have a book of physics out, which I don't really care for, but I flip through it anyway for new
Sure.
theories. Sometimes it's a cookbook, sometimes it's comic books. I love Bloodborne and I love Frank Miller art.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's erotica. So, I mean, it could be anything, right? But you
Yeah.
have to always be learning and reaching and grabbing for new, strange things to keep your mind engaged. I mean, there's sometimes I just listen to straight up thug rap music to get prepped. I mean, even when I am about to go on stage, I usually listen to System of a Down or Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Really? Oh,
Yes, that's how I
wow.
warm up. I always warm up with Californication. I don't know what it is about that album.
It's a great album.
It is, it's a
Yeah.
great album.
Well, yeah, I mean, I love that. It sounds like, inspiration to you requires exploration,
Yes.
and it requires and I don't mean that in a negative way.
No,
I
no, no.
think yeah, it sounds to me like you celebrate the idea that you have to explore
Yes,
to for your mind and body to be enriched,
every day.
and tell me if you agree with this, but I feel like those aha moments, those moments of inspiration, often it actually starts emotionally
Yes.
and it could take anything to get me
Yep.
there. So yeah, if it's a System of a Down, if it's rap, if it's
Yes.
reading Brandon Sanderson or whatever it happens to
Exactly.
be, it's like allow it by
Yes.
exploring. You're not gonna know unless you explore.
Yes.
Um, and as we know, inspiration is not something you can ask for. It
No.
is something that you are ready when it strikes, or you aren't.
Yeah.
Which I feel like onto this next topic of injury while wanting to be productively creative is very difficult.
Oh my god.
Um, you know,
Horrible.
you had mentioned, like, for people who aren't performers, I think a lot of non-musicians particularly don't understand the physicality that comes with, playing any
Yeah.
instrument, any more some than others, and it could be the tiniest thing, but just like at work, repetitive stress injury, um I talk about potential for injury, if you would,
Mhm.
with singing, not just maybe vocal. I know that I've heard of singers having, like, nodes and
Yeah.
things. I don't know all that, but I'd imagine there's also muscle strain
Oh, yeah.
issues. Like, can you maybe talk about the potential if you
Of course.
don't, whatever, mitigate it somehow?
So a lot of it is about rest. For whatever reason in our culture, we are very anti rest. We are very pro prescription, pro commodity, pro I'm tired, I'll drink a monster. There are
Mm,
some things that you cannot sacrifice. Rest is one of them. And part of that ritual, it's not just sleep. When I say rest, I mean, I might fart around and watch bad TV for an hour and then go
mhm,
or I might
yeah,
lay out in the sun and tan. Part of inspiration and creating is that you accept that you're a human and that you have to have downtime uninterrupted. There are times where I can't talk to my family. I will call my mom and I'll say, won't be talking for the next 2 days. I'll call you on Thursday, whatever it is, right?
yeah, yeah,
Cannot stress enough that to avoid injury and avoid depletion, um, you have to take those moments to yourself, whatever they may be, and
mm,
really hone your craft via not thinking about it sometimes and
yeah,
just being a person and milling around your house. Sometimes
yeah.
sew. What am I sewing? I don't even know. It doesn't matter.
I'm just putting a needle in cloth, it's not
Ex
gonna move. Yeah,
exactly. It could be a cell phone case and I'll never use it, but it doesn't matter. It brings me joy. It's
yeah,
crucial that you have these little fall safes because the worst and I'm sure that you probably go through this in your own way.
mm,
Every single true creator is plagued with melancholy. It is in your blood, whether if you're aware of it or not. We
right,
all have this burnout when we create, and I think it's because what people don't understand is you're using physicality, you're using skill, your intellect, and then you're also exercising this divine power that is really has no words for.
yeah,
When you're channeling all that, you have to have downtime to replenish yourself. Even like Broadway, performers, they have to sleep. I mean, grant
yeah.
they're superhuman,
I
okay?
can't even
Oh,
imagine
it's
how that works.
it's insane. I mean, there's times where I would get out of ballroom dance competitions,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people might say like, "Oh, 2nd in Ohio Star Ball, being 2nd place isn't impressive." Out of 100
Who
performers, yes,
who is
it is.
saying that? Are people saying that?
Oh, I've had 1 or 2 people say, "Do you really flout that? Like, being 2nd is best?" And I was like, "Out of
Oh my
100 performers, yes.
be
Yes, 2nd is best." Arnold Schwarzenegger presented me with an award.
yeah.
People from
I
Dancing with the Stars were there.
I find it amazing okay, here's another oh my gosh, you are wonderful, like, bringing up another topic that I
I
wanna
can
talk about.
always come back.
Well,
I'm
and
not
we
going
will.
anywhere,
Okay,
David.
this is gonna be the final topic before we outro you,
Okay.
okay? So,
So he says.
I wanna yes, and then cue another hour. Okay, so what I think one of the times you had tuned into a prior live that I was chatting
Mhm.
with someone, we were talking briefly about the critical nature of particularly the classical worlds.
Yeah.
You had just brought up, you had accomplished a great feat.
Mhm.
You don't even need to get an award, in my opinion.
You don't.
If you get on stage, that's my metric for
Yeah.
success is, did you do the thing you set out to do? Which
Yeah.
is just to do the thing, right? I know
The thing.
that's circular, but you know what I mean.
No,
Um,
100%.
it takes bravery, it takes effort. Like you said, there is your physicality, your intellect, your emotion. There's so much that you're pouring into whatever the thing you're achieving, in this case, dance,
Yeah.
that you know, I've seen in, like, a pageant once that I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but it's perfect for this. So, in this pageant, one of the Miss Universe women or Miss America women, her talent was classical piano. And
Oh,
so she got on stage and played a very difficult Chopin study, okay?
oh,
Now,
oh.
I could have told her before, "Don't do that,"
Yeah,
play below your skill level so that you can do it, right?
exactly.
At the same time, like, honestly, it was fine. It was rocky,
Yeah,
but, like, you sat there and still played it
yeah,
knowing that it wasn't perfect and you went from start to finish. Like, that is so hard to
It's
do.
a gamble too.
It is a huge gamble. It takes courage
Mhm.
more than most people have
Yeah,
to especially to bomb and play
yeah.
through it, right?
Oh, yes.
And I was seeing a lot of comments about, particularly from classical people, right? Who are
Mhm.
just like, "This is basically like jazz, whatever, da, da, da." And it's like, I bet you can't do that. I bet, and even if you could, I bet you don't have the courage
Even try.
to try,
Yeah.
because she did, and honestly, she's probably amazing when
Oh,
she's not performing that
yeah.
song. That's
100%.
that's so normal. So, like,
Yeah,
when you're in front of someone, it becomes incredibly different
yeah,
than when you're behind closed doors practicing, right?
yeah.
So,
Stakes are high.
stakes are so high. So, I wanna get your take on, like, how do we move forward?
Mhm.
We know that, particularly the classical music world is very perfection oriented,
Yeah,
very, uh it needs to dazzle in some way. It needs to be the fastest. It needs to
yeah,
be the most dynamic range, maybe with your voice. It needs to be this, da, 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 da,
yeah.
rather than celebrating what it is. Um, how do we move forward knowing that?
Honestly, I think those systems are in place really to create a barrier to entry. And the truth is, in our culture, that will always be present. I don't know if there's any way to totally eliminate that. It's kind of like the concept of the Academy Awards. How many incredible actors and actresses are not recognized
Yeah.
every single year? And then not only that, it's all about the piece. Like, were they absolutely incredible as that character? Same concept as me, or you. Was that your opus, that
Yeah.
particular aria or piece? Um, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know if there's ever any way of really eliminating that, and I think it's because humans are inherently competitive, and really it's because to our egos, that is important to be categorized.
Mm,
Now, when you step away from that, you're really free. And that's really when your art shines. I don't know if there's any way to eliminate it, but that's why there's spaces like Substack, is because there isn't any award system, there isn't any tracker. You're just being who you are. And I think that
yeah.
that's crucial. And not only that, the reason it's never been more important is that, or never been so important as it is now, sorry, excuse me, my phrasing, is that what you make, whether if it's good or bad, is irrelevant. It speaks to someone else. And if that reaches that person and helps create engagement, that's what really revolves our world.
Yeah.
That's why the stakes are so high, is that it's that engagement.
Mm.
But sorry if that was a ramble. I may have
No,
gone off
I
the
love
topic
I love
there.
that, and I'm just gonna add on to what you said. Like, I think our remedy, n with everything you just said, is to share
Yes.
and recalibrate us as creatives, whatever the craft is. Like, recalibrate your version of success away
Yeah,
from ego-based, metrics
yeah.
and more towards the, like, for example, and I'm sorry to bring it here, I'm
No,
gonna
it's
plug my
okay.
own stuff. So I'm about to release Possessed, which, you've heard at this point,
Absolutely
and
album.
my my goal for that, like, way early days, my goal is actually not at all to do with the reception of the living. It's
Mhm.
really to speak to the ancestors and
Yeah,
people who have passed away. That is the goal with the thing itself was just to connect with them in a different way, and
absolutely.
so, to me, having recalibrated that, I don't feel the urge to do some big campaign to hopefully sell a bunch, to get a bunch of comments. Like, in fact, I'm so far removed from that,
Good for
that
you.
it's taken a long time because the
It
ego
does.
is so wrapped up
Oh, yeah.
in wanting recognition in some
Yes.
way. And I think once you get to the point of being like, "You know what? I am not perfect, but, like, I have a story to tell,
Mhm.
and I'm just gonna put it out there." And
Yeah.
like you said, like, it's gonna connect with someone who wants it at the right moment. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll be in 100 years, right?
Exactly.
But that's common, actually.
Yeah,
That's
it
actually common.
is.
And, like, most of these artists, these, operatic arias and everything, it's like during the heyday of when that was composed,
Yeah.
it likely was not a staple,
Yeah.
or even regarded as
Sure.
what it might now be.
I mean, Mozart was continuously shamed, and the reason being was because he's, Austrian, and opera was considered only an Italian thing, and they were like, "No,
Right.
no, it has to be Italian." So he fit himself into a box and made
Mm,
sure he translated everything, but when
yeah.
you think about it, what could he have made if he didn't have that peer pressure? You know,
And
just
talk about too, like, inspiration from a different, like, I mean, it's pretty, courageous from thinking about it in this perspective, knowing that it's such an Italian-based
yes.
genre. I mean, it really is,
Oh, it
obviously.
is. It's in
But,
their
like,
blood.
historically, it is literally, like,
Yeah.
Italian, and so it is pretty interesting to fit it back into, like, we listen to other genres, we do this
Mhm.
to inspire us. In the same way, like, the people we look up to are doing or did the same thing.
Yeah.
And sure, maybe it was the same craft of music, but, likely it was often poetry, plays, and we don't know because they're not alive anymore, but there's
Yeah.
anyways, it's important to explore crafts.
Of
Um,
course.
okay, this was lovely, Amelia. Like, seriously, we gotta chat again.
Oh, I
Um,
can't wait to come back. There's so much more to
yeah,
review.
yes, and I look forward to seeing what you release, how you plan to share it with the world.
Thank you.
Everybody, again, this is Amelia Hartman. You can
Hi.
find her on Substack right now. The links are down below. Thank you so much, Amelia, for joining me. This was really
It's
fun.
my pleasure, and thank you, Alexi. You're right. No one does it like that. I know because I'm one of them.
And with that, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you for having me. Ciao.
Yep. See ya, Amelia. Bye bye.